All right, so we're back. Um, thanks for sharing some of the things that occurred for you over the week, in terms of the practices and just some of your thoughts, around, what sort of emerged over the last week. Um, and I guess before we dive in for tonight, if you're open to it, would you like to do some grounding to kind of get us centered and present
Yes,
into the conversation? Okay.
let's do that. Yes.
The same question that I'll always ask. Would you like to lead or would you like me to lead today?
I'd like you to lead.
You like me to lead? Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. So, um, same thing, just allow yourself to come into the space, allow yourself to just release anything that might have occurred, over the last week or even today. Allow yourself to just take a few deep breaths in and out, in, out, breath in, breath out. And allow this space to be exactly what you need in our time together. That whatever is in your thoughts, in your heart, in your body, that feels present to you, that you can bring it to our space together and it'll be held and explored in whichever way you want it to be. And allow the energy of this season, this time in the world, space that you're in, to guide us wherever we decide to go this evening. Be present to the essence of who you are, the purpose, why you're here, and just the gift, the opportunity that we get to be together in this space, creating the life that you want to create here in this moment. And that anything that you feel present to creating in your life, that we together, the energy between both of us can allow for new possibilities, new ways of thinking, new opportunities to come come into the space, be invited into the space. And with that, allow yourself to enter into the space, mind clear, and when you're ready, just share what it is for this evening that you'd like to explore in our time together.
So for this evening, I want to stay with the request I made to you, which is to explore the importance of rest, the importance of balance between activity and rest, um, the importance of uh, doing something joyful for myself. I often put that sort of on the back burner because of the things that I'm taking care of or the people I'm taking care of. And there is, and the result of that is that at some point I start to I start to pull back from the responsibilities just because I need the rest, but I'm not conscious that I need the rest. And so I start to see it in the quality of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. So you've mentioned, well, if we come back to the area of focus, you've mentioned, okay, I want to explore the importance of rest and I think there's sort of a subset of joy in that, probably joy in
Yeah.
the experience overall. What is it that you're actually wanting to create?
Hmm. So what I'm actually wanting to create in life is to have an element of play and playfulness as a means of rejuvenating myself, or as a means of yeah, enjoying what is going on in life more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one of the elements that you want in your life is more play, joy in life, in just
Yes.
how in just the everyday life.
Yes.
Okay. And well, what do you see as the connection to rest in that? How are they all potentially connected?
Um, so, so the way I'm relating to these two things, like rest and play, is that rest is uh, sort of like in bringing up the energy, like because of the rest, and play is changing the quality of the energy to be more uh, playful and easy and light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, I mean, really fundamentally, what you said there is like, hey, I want to have a life where I have more play, more joy in sort of the overall feel of life. And what about this rest piece? What do you want more of when it comes to that?
Mm. I think rest is not so much. I mean, part of it is the physical rest, but part of it is the mental rest, or the mental uh, sort of assurance of, oh, I am doing what needs to be done, or like what I'm doing is what. Uh, yeah, like there's a this congruence between like what I want and what I'm doing. I think that's the theme.
Can you say that again? Yeah, can you clarify that piece one more time?
So like there is a so I think it's like the more I'm thinking about it, the more it's related to what we discussed last week also, is that the more there is intentionality of what I'm doing, so that if I'm resting, that I know that, okay, yes, it's okay to rest, and this is what I need in this moment, or this is what is important in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Like
feel
to be
like,
able to
yeah, go for it.
to be able to rest without feeling guilty about getting rest. I think
Mm,
that's the
okay. So I'm going to make a note of that because we can definitely come back to that piece if we
yeah.
need to as a sort of a larger focus. But I'm hearing some different dynamics. Like, you want to bring more joy into your life, more play into your life. This element of like, hey, I want to rest as well and not feel guilty with it as well. So the place that I'm curious about is like, if there was an experience that might encompass all of this,
Hmm.
what would that creation look like in your eyes?
Hmm. Like I'm thinking like on a day-to-day basis, it's something like, oh, um, maybe just like playing something together with with the family, or just putting on some music and dancing if there's nobody else around, or even if somebody else is around, right? I mean, just being able to like, I mean, if I think about my day, like everything is structured around, oh, like there is some I should say, like, so for example, right, I mean, I'm going to the gym like 3 times a week, right? And I'm either doing a class or working with a trainer or whatever, but it feels like work, right? I mean, it's not that I'm not enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, yes, and there's an outcome that I'm going for, and there's a sort of like, but it's that's not the same as doing something just for the sake of joy, right? And for the sake of like play. It's not that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. The example that comes to my mind is like, so between my son and I, we made this sort of quote unquote ritual that every time we come home together, we'll like we have a ping pong table in the garage, so we'll play a little bit before we go into the house, okay? And that was very playful and fun on at certain times. But then today he was like, he really wanted to play, and I was like, I'm tired. Let's just we'll keep it as a thing that we can do tomorrow. But then he got upset about it, and so I started to play with him anyways. So
Mm.
then, like, um, once I got into it, I started to enjoy it. But this, uh, yeah, no, I enjoyed it actually. So it's not that I didn't enjoy it, but having that element more in life of
Mm-hmm.
play. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
So if we were to sort of choose a direction for the rest of the conversation, just from what you shared so far, what are you seeing as that direction? What's the thing that's emerging for you for us to explore?
So I think what's emerging for me is being more conscious and intentional about adding these elements of play through the day or through the week, or you know, yeah.
Okay. I noticed you paused there, but you're onto something there, and then you paused. So
No, I paused because like what came to my mind was that this past fall, I had joined a volleyball league, and like once a week we would play together. It was like a beginners league kind of thing at one of the gyms close to my house. And I was just reflecting that I really enjoyed that, and I'm missing that right now, because I had fun. Like I would get into the court, I would get into my element, and like it was a very different quality from for me that I got to experience for myself. And and in contrast, the last, like the time that my wife is not here, like she's been out, it's been all about responsibility, or taking care of the house, taking care of my son, and all of that. So the balance is a little bit shifted, I guess, is the word. So
so so it sounds like you're potentially onto something, here, but what was it specifically about that volleyball experience that, like, you are connecting to the play and the joy that you're seeking?
it uh, it was a lot of fun. It was like, even though we lost most of the games, but it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. Uh, like it because it was like a group game, it allowed me to also get into, like one natural place I go to when I'm with I'm around people is to encourage everybody. And so I got to experience that, more of that in my, like, of my personality, and I enjoy that aspect of myself when I'm cheering everybody else on, or when I'm, you know uh, like if you lose a point, then like I'll encourage everybody to, okay, let's just move on. Okay, let's go to the next, whatever, focus on the next point. So I enjoyed that experience of playfulness, of that camaraderie, of just, yeah, enjoying playing a game like that. And that's sort of has been missing for the last few weeks, like last 2 months or so, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's clear that the joy and the play that comes from that experience, like, you can feel that. And what all of a sudden has made it that piece is missing in your life now?
Um, like I said, like, so for the last, whatever, 7 weeks, I think, since I mean, so the league ended, I think, around yeah, actually no, yeah, I stopped going because my wife went away, and I've been managing the house and my son's schedule, and all of that. So all my energy and focus has been on just sort of running the household kind of thing. And so that's the part I'm missing now.
Right.
To be able to do something for, like, for my fun. It's like,
Got it. So, when you were in the volleyball league, there was sort of more, less responsibility, so you could focus, some energy into the play, the joy in that aspect of your life. And in this time that you're in right now, your focus has been, well, you've had increased responsibility, which has meant
Yes.
less of that experience for yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So like knowing that the dynamic is how it is now, what are you curious about? How potentially would you want this to go differently?
Hmm. Um, so what I'm curious about is, okay, how can I, like, what can I do to experience those similar feelings, but maybe not, maybe in the context of, the increased responsibilities. Because like my wife is coming back next week, but then there's going to be a similar period of whatever, 4, 5, 6 weeks when she's gone, later in the spring next year. So that is
Right.
one aspect of it. And the second aspect is like, okay, doesn't matter whether, like she's here or she's not here. Doesn't matter whether the volleyball league is going on or not going on, because, if that season is done or whatever. What are other ways that I can bring that same element of uh, joy and playfulness and ease, and not just in that aspect, or like that 1 hour that I was playing, but also in other aspects of life. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what can I do to bring that same energy to work, to, my relationship with my wife? I mean, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, great awareness, right? Great awareness of seeing that, the volleyball experience is kind of a microcosm, sort of a micro, I can't even think of the word, but really just like a representation of
Yes.
the greater elements of joy and play that you could have access to.
Yes.
So
Yes.
great realization there. So what I hear is that the potential focus of our conversation is, how do you create a life of joy in all areas, even with, increased responsibilities?
Yes.
So really just, yeah, could be as could
Yeah.
be as clean as that, in terms of where to focus, and yeah. And so just so I don't make it confusing for both of us, is there anything that you would add to that?
No, I think that. Yeah. You use less words to express what I took like 3 minutes to talk about, but yes.
It's all good. So so one of the things that you've mentioned is like in this process of discovery is like determining, other ways, like what are some other ways you could access this joy, this play, outside of volleyball? So that sounds like one of the potential
Yes.
places for us to focus. You I won't sort of push us in that direction. So are there any other areas that we should be focusing our attention on when it comes to this conversation around joy and play? Like, are there any like specific areas of your life right now that we could look into further?
So, like I was thinking about this, that it's easy for me to be playful with my son. He's 10, right? I mean, like
Mm,
it's easy to get into that, like, that sense of, playing together with him most of the days. Uh,
mhm,
it's easy. Where it's not as easy is being able to do the same thing with my wife,
mhm.
right? I mean, like, uh, I'm just thinking, like, even at work, there are certain people that it's easy for me to bring that element, like, just have that ease around conversation with. because I worked with them for a longer period of time, the connection is there, even though all of us are, whatever, remote. But it's not as easy, or it has not happened as much with some of the newer people that I've been working with more recently. Yeah.
It sounds like you're, just even in how you spoke about your wife and potential coworkers, like I got a sense that there was a little bit of like insight sort of in that exploration, like something may have been coming to you in that.
So, like, what I paused on was that it's like somehow I am the one who's stopping myself to in bringing that flavor of my personality to the conversation or to that relationship.
Okay.
Um, the other insight that came to me was that I'm unconsciously tying that flavor, that quality of mind to the activity that is associated with it. Like, oh, I'm playful when we're playing ping pong or playing volleyball, but the same quality of playfulness can also be present when I'm cooking or I'm cleaning or whatever. Like I'm doing something else, and what I'm curious about is what is it about you know uh, like what is it that it's present in one sort of circumstance but not in the other, even though it's at least in my mind it's not about the activity, right? It's the quality of mind that is the, that's the driving factor.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, or am I too much in my head on this?
Absolutely. I mean, what I hear in that is that you have a certain like there's almost like a judgment to how play occurs. Like if play is you playing ping pong, like, okay, well, that's play. That's like a great representation of the play, the joy. And you know, I guess what I'm what I'm hearing is that like, oh, but there's a different association with, say, cooking,
Right.
on the surface level. But it even sounds like what's emerging for you is you're seeing that, well, play can be sort of the multifaceted thing. It can really be a quality that expands into all areas of life.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
great, beautiful awareness around that. So we can see that, like, yeah, there's we can always place sort of positives and negatives as to how we show up with these defined terms, or even how we define it. um what I'm, from some of the places where we might potentially look, well, even I'll pull back from that. Like, so the request is to, create joy everywhere in life. Like, how do we sort of embody that more?
Yes.
What would be like, what do you want to walk away with by the end of our conversation tonight?
Um, so I don't know what this is going to look like, but I think what I would like to have in life is to be able to recognize when that play is present and acknowledge it, and recognize when it's not present and be able to do something to shift that energy to invite that in. Um, yeah.
Okay. So potentially, some practice around an awareness of where play is present and where it's not, and just, you know, an ability to invite that, to invite it in more,
Yes.
Maybe shift the energy, so to speak.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Um, so where would you like to go from here? From the conversation that we've had so far, like what's present for you?
Mm. So what is present for me is like it feels like intellectually I understand where I am, where I want to be, but at the same time it feels like there's some step missing, which I can't put my finger on right now. It's like, what is, yeah.
Would you be open to sitting with that for a minute and just
Yeah,
feeling into what it might be?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, great. Just that, just allow yourself to be present to that question. What is missing in this journey for you? What, if you feel into your heart, what do you already know might be missing?
So I think, like if I, for example, if I think about my relationship with my wife, uh, the play element sort of hides because at some level I am uh, looking for a response. I'm looking for a like it's dependent on how uh, yeah, what the response from her is, or like even at work, it was the response from the other person instead of staying with that element of playfulness within me and uh, to like yeah, instead of just upholding that quality of mind irrespective of whatever is happening around me. And the other thing that just came to me was that the way it is connected to rest is that when I'm rested, it's easier to recognize this. Right?
Hmm.
When I'm not rested, then it's easier for the play to disappear, for me to become serious, and also to lose the awareness that, oh, play is missing right now. Uh,
Yeah. Some big awarenesses right there.
yeah.
Beautiful work to just be present to that, allowing that to come, from that moment of allowing, just that moment of a little bit of, just silence to be with it.
Yeah.
Um, so you spoke to sort of two elements there, the response, how I understood that is that, like, you may be in a state of play or joy, or really just like um freedom of expression and who you are. And there is a moment where you start to think about their response, or how they are
Yeah.
perceiving the situation, and that has an impact on what happens next, in a sense.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's that element there, and there's what you spoke to with regards to the rest, and when you're not rested, more of the seriousness comes in.
Yes.
And there, so really just if we go sort of to an elevated place from this, it's funny, I'm sort of trying to like paint this in the most enlightened direction, but really just from what you shared there, what are you curious about?
I'd say more than curious. I'm just like I'm a little puzzled that okay, so I recognize that okay, yes, play is important for me and rest is important for me. But if I look at my life, I'm noticing that I have not intentionally made space for these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's so that's sort of the aha moment is that oh yeah, I mean okay, yes, this is what I want, but I have not made space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then so from there it's like okay, what does that space look like? What can I do to invite more of that? Right? How do I like the thing that I had messaged you about that oh I realized that I don't plan for vacations. I don't plan that oh like for breaks, just getting away from the responsibility and just like enjoying myself and say oh yeah uh, yeah. So I mean it's more funny like it's ironic and it's funny because like oh I have this awareness and it's not been there in the past. So like okay what now let's just turn the knobs to make it make it align a little bit more. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what is coming up from me.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine that it's all connected.
Yes.
From everything that's shared, there's sort of little pathways that connect to really the heart of it all. And really just what do you think is the like when you share that, hey, like I don't really actually create time for the rest in my life, like what's the relationship there? What is it about vacations or rest that you're not empowering?
Mm.
May I actually pull that question back?
Okay.
And I want to ask you a different question, which would be, is the rest and the vacations, is that actually important to you?
I think so. Um, what so I mean, like vacation is it has not been important for me. But what I'm realizing is that I'm associating vacation with that quality of playfulness and rest because in a vacation, quote unquote, you don't have the other responsibilities. Um, and so it's not so much that the vacation is important. It's what is important is the quality of that joy and rest and playfulness that's more important.
Yeah, great.
Because in the past, like there have been times where vacations have actually become work in themselves. Right? I mean, it's like
Mm-hmm. So if we connect that right back to the coaching request that you came with, like, hey, I want to create a life of joy everywhere, where are we at right now? in terms of how this conversation is going for you?
So where we're at right now is okay. I think in my mind I've made some connections between what I want and uh, what I like what I would like to see more of in my life. And the piece that's sort of still missing is how to uh, how to translate that into practices in day-to-day life. I think that's yeah.
Okay, so you're clear on what you want, which is?
Yes, which is more play and playfulness,
Mm-hmm.
and a balance between like rest and activity.
Mm-hmm. And then the place that you're still, a little bit, in the discovery of is like, hey, how do I actually like put this into action?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me repeat that back to you. So you're looking to create more play, have more playfulness, and you want to have a balance of, rest and action in your life. So what do you see as like the pathway to creation for this? Like, what do you already know is next for you?
So I'm thinking, like, yeah, I was gonna say, okay, that I should have more vacations, but the thought of going on a vacation is a little like that's a lot of work. So, so, but I think on a day-to-day basis, what I know is what I know I can do is, uh, yeah, um, experience experience that joy and playfulness by just I don't know doing something during the day, like just putting on some music and dancing, or for a few minutes just to shake things up a little bit. Yeah, like it could be something as simple as that.
Okay. What would that create for you if you had that experience in your life?
Um, like it would switch I less self consciousness about about like um, yeah, more freedom in that way.
Mm-hmm.
More freedom.
Okay. So is there more you want to share?
No, I think that's yeah.
Okay. So what's the practice there that you'd like to put in place?
The practice that I would like to put in place is uh, to do something every day that is just for the joy of it, like for no other purpose, for no like because I want to get better at it or because it's required or whatnot.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so
Like the thing that came to me just now is that as like I enjoy reading, but I'm noticing that all my reading is about like self-help kind of like, oh, what can you learn from it?
Mhm.
And there is no like, just a novel or just a story to read for no other reason, because other than, oh, story is interesting to read, kind of thing. So that's like that's one thing that came to me. It's like, oh yeah, like it could be music, but it could also be like, oh, just read for the sake of reading, not because you're going to get something out of it.
Right. So
So,
you're saying that like, hey, the practice there is to do something each day just to experience the joy of it. And it sounds like you see sort of a potential anchor there of like, in reading, choosing something outside of the norm.
yes.
Great. Any other support you need around that practice?
This is like the other thing that's coming up for the like reading a novel, for example, is like just it's like more of like giving myself permission to just enjoy it rather than,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I need to get something out of it. So I don't know. It's not that I'm looking uh, for support, but I'm just like, that's what I'm realizing, that, oh, I don't give myself permission to do that, and yeah, I should just, it's like, why not?
Yeah, and that could even just be a part, the practice that you put down was like to do something each day for the joy of it. That might be a part of the practice is just, in doing that every day, you're actively giving yourself permission to do that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You had also mentioned, one of the things that you wanted to walk away with from our conversation was, to just be more aware of the play, when play is
Yes,
present, when play is not, and
yes,
allow that in.
yes.
Is there anything you see to practice there, or where do you stand with that one?
Yeah, I don't know like if there's a practice around it, or if there's a, yeah, I think so. Where I stand with that is that just the conversation around it and the awareness around it is good for now.
Yeah.
And then maybe what I would like to do is to have a like some sort of, I'll put some sort of reminder in my calendar to just to reflect on that, in a few days again, or yeah.
Oh, we froze there for a second. We
Oh.
froze with your finger on your eye like this. And so I'm like, okay, well now we got to speak to that piece. No, but yeah, is so what I'm hearing in that is that really it can just be an awareness practice for now. Are you with the finger on the eye? Is that something that are you secretly not wanting to put that one in your calendar?
No, no, no.
Okay. Okay, cool. So if we check in on the request that you had about being able to create joy everywhere in life, we had also spoken to the given the fact that there are increased responsibilities, like how are we doing? Is there anything else that we need to look at?
No, I think so. Like just reflecting back on the whole conversation, I think the piece that stands out to me as the most important one is just giving myself the permission to do things that are for the joy of them,
Hmm.
uh, rather than like having a like outcome in mind, or having a plan in place for things, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
so it's a balance of like, okay, yes, I want that piece in it, which is planned, but then that piece itself has permission for me to just be and
Hmm.
enjoy what I'm doing. So I think that's, so to me, like that was the most like valuable piece of our conversation, was that, oh yeah, it's
And what is that? What's the most valuable piece there for you? The takeaway?
is that the takeaway is that the biggest empowerment is not so much practice itself, but the fact that I give myself permission to enjoy what, something for the sake of just enjoying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, great. So we got about 10 minutes left, and I'd like to share a reflection with you from what you've designed here with the practices, just based on what we touched on in the conversation, if you're open.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
one of the things that I notice about these practices, and you spoke to the word itself, which kind of like ring the bell in my ear. You spoke to a part of like the benefit of doing this practice is to sort of like enhance self-consciousness, or even like yeah, like that's fair, like, you know, what you're saying there. But like, here's the piece that in my long-winded reflection is those practices seem very focused on you as an individual, which one of the things that you spoke to is like what's missing in access to joy and play is that you're often thinking about, hey, what's happening for this person on the other side? And so that I'm, you know, just me sharing that back to you, like, what are you noticing about a potential place to also look at for this access to play and joy?
It's like, so what is, to me, what's coming up is like, it's pointing to that, oh, the reason I'm not or in the past I've not permitted myself to have that is because somewhere it's tied to the people around me. And if I can set that aside and just give myself permission to enjoy, I think that will shift that dynamic also. We'll see how it goes, but that's what's coming up right now.
Yeah, and one one thing that I'll share with you is that a place that you may want to look at as a practice is practicing with others. So, you know, again, you can, you know, we can sort of set the guidelines of this around it, but like, if one of the places that's been limiting joy for you has sort of been that, like, hey, how's this person on the other side? What are they thinking? By practicing this alone, that's still going to be there in a sense. So that's a place that you may want to also just even, you know, you don't have to go 50 steps forward on this, but that might even be an awareness practice of itself. You know, when you're in interactions with others, where do you notice that you're hesitating or you're holding back? Where do you notice that, like, oh, I'm really focused on what this person is, you know, what are their body cues or how are they feeling in this moment? So that's a lot of me talking, but like, is there anything that you see for yourself in that?
Like, so I think, yeah, to sort of rephrase what you're saying, it's like to notice where I'm not spontaneous and becoming more like in the head about editing what's going on or what I'm doing. So noticing that when I'm present with other people.
Absolutely. And you know, in the partnership of this, like, you know, is there a practice for you in this?
I think the practice, like I was thinking, is the practice like to be able to do this check-in in the moment, but that's too hard. Like I think the practice is more like, oh, at the end of the day, to reflect back and see where was it that I was spontaneous and where was it that I was not, and see what I can get out of that part. So it's more of like a reflecting on the day and see where that spontaneity was missing, and what could be out of, like, what could come out of that, what could I learn out of that. You're
Okay.
frozen now. Now
I'm
you are
frozen
frozen.
now. Yeah, great. On my side, it's going to show you as frozen, but I can still hear
Okay.
you. Okay, great. So just like a practice of reflection, so
Yes.
how will you do that? Would that be, just a
Mm.
mental check-in with yourself? Would you do some journaling? Like what's the medium that you would like to do this in?
Yeah. I think I want to start journaling
Okay,
because what I'm what I realize is that the if I just do it mentally, it's not as clear and as thorough.
got it.
But yeah,
Okay. And is this going to be like an everyday thing, or a couple times a week? Like, what do you see?
I want to start with a couple of times a week because otherwise it's like too much pressure to write every day.
Okay.
So
So how many
so
days?
minimum I'll say minimum 2 days, and then it's a 2 plus days.
Okay, great.
That's
One thing I would
yes.
put in on this one as well is have grace with yourself as you're
Hmm.
going through this process. You know, um, this could potentially be an easy place to start judging yourself. Oh, I didn't show
Yes.
up in this conversation, how I wanted to, like, so you get to, you can kind of choose for yourself, but like definitely like just give yourself grace knowing that like, hey, you are in process of exploring this area
Hmm.
that's been present for, I imagine for a while, in a
Yeah.
sense. So but I mean, just thanks for being willing to hear the reflection and just be present to that.
Yeah. Well, thank
Awesome.
you. I think yeah. If it were not for the reflection, it might have been too narrow, I think. So this serves much more. Yes.
For sure. Is there anything else for us to explore in our conversation tonight?
No, I feel like I'm at a good place. I think this is very fruitful. I think in that way.
Hmm. So this is a good place for us to complete for this evening.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Um, who would you like to be acknowledged for?
Mm. I'm open. I don't have anything in there that's coming up at the
There
moment.
must there must be something that you see. Come on. In this conversation that we had, there's some quality that you brought for sure.
Uh, no, openness, I think, like
Hmm.
openness and the willingness to just look.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Vivek, I really want to acknowledge you for really just the awareness that you bring to the conversation. I may have used this one in the past, but like what I really see is like you are very fast at connecting dots between like
Mm.
the pathways. And um, I think a great example of that was like that moment where we spoke to like, hey, take a breath, what's and be with like what's potentially missing. Like it came to you really quickly. And I see a real
Mm.
trusting of your intuition, which is really connected to that like beautiful awareness that you have, that beautiful ability to just like something may feel confusing or not clear, but like you allow yourself to just move into it and see what emerges. So beautiful work around that. I really do want to acknowledge you for your openness. The openness in exploring the topic and of like, yeah, like how do I bring this experience of joy into my life when um maybe it hasn't been there as much as like as I've lately, and like just being open to like even if the pathway is not directly in front of you in this moment, like you're trusting that there is an ability for this possibility to come. It's beautiful. It's amazing, just to be with that energy of like the possibility in that openness. Um, I really want to acknowledge you for you know, just the vulnerability of the conversation as well. You know, the ability to share, you know, what's been present, what's potentially, you know, held you back in some ways, and being open to like letting that go, you know, creating new pathways to truly go for the things that you want. And like that requires us to be vulnerable. That requires us to sort of like open the box and see what's been holding on to us. So really just great work in allowing that to happen, for having the strength to be able to open that door and move through it. So beautiful work. Thanks for sharing yourself here in the conversation today and bringing your heart.
Thank you.
Mhm.